Kiley Reid's book, Such a Fun Age. I had 5 books about race relations that were on my must tell you about list. I have to tell you, my must tell you about list gets longer every day and is very present in my head all of the time because I want to tell everybody all about these great books, of course. And I hope that if this trial works well, we will try and get to some of those books. But I chose Such a Fun Age because it's funny and it's clever and it's sharp, but it's also very provocative. It's a debut novel. It was marked to be a bestseller before it ever arrived in the bookstores. And it's about a very tricky relationship. It's about the relationship between a bright, and she's a university graduate, competent, young, Black babysitter, and the 33-year-old privileged, also intelligent, competent, white employer. And then thrown into the mix, there is a very tall, handsome man who turns out to be quite significant in different ways in both of their lives. But it's also very much, albeit primarily about that tricky relationship, it is also very much a novel about marriage and parenthood and lasting friendships. There are 2 cohorts of friendships. The babysitter has 3 best friends who are her quatrain, and so parallel to that does the mother, and they figure into the book. The book, therefore, is about lasting friendships. It is also very much about the privileged class versus, of course, the serving class. It's about class distinction, but it's also about what we've been talking about a lot lately: everyday, casual, thoughtless racism, or mindless racism. Faced with a midnight crisis, and that's how the book begins. Faced with a midnight crisis in her home, Alix, that's the mother, Alix has changed her name. Her name was Alex right through university, but now with an air of more sophistication. She is Alix, Alix Chamberlain. She's a high-profile media entrepreneur, and she's a motivation speaker. And she has all the privileges according to her income and her marriage and so on. She has a very trusted African-American babysitter, and that sitter really does love her charge, Briar. Briar is a terrific character in the book. Briar is a very verbal, very precocious, adorable child, and a pain in the ass. So the first chapters of the book get you in right away with the situation. A crisis has occurred in the Chamberlain household. They do not want their daughter there. She is 3 years old. She is all-knowing, all-wise, to be there when the police come to investigate the situation. And so at midnight, Mrs. Chamberlain phones her trusted babysitter, who is having a wonderful time at a party with her 3 best friends, and please come, take Briar out of the house for an hour or 2, so she won't be part of the chaos that is about to ensue. So she takes her to the local supermarket, which is a very upscale 24-hour supermarket. And they go up and down the aisles, stroll up and down the aisles, killing time and examining everything, in particular the nuts. The child loves all kinds of nuts. As they are doing that, a nosy, suspicious woman, with good intentions, of course, summons the guard, a night guard, and he's a policeman of sorts. He will later, of course, call the police. And what he sees is a beautiful Black woman who is with a child who does not, a white child of 3, who does not call her mummy. And this woman has been drinking a bit, and she's dressed well. His first comment to her is, don't tell me that you've been babysitting all night dressed like that. He accuses her of kidnapping. But she's a resourceful young woman, and she calls the daddy immediately, who jogs over and stops the confrontation in full-blown full sail. But there's a man in the room, a shopper, and he has a cell phone, and he takes a video of everything that goes on. So Amira, accused of kidnapping, now is told that she could, of course, lay a legal claim. She could perhaps get free groceries from the store for the rest of her life, and so on. And her comment is sort of the center of the novel. I don't want you to be upset, she says, about what happened to me. I want you to be upset that this sort of thing happens. And that stays right through the book. Amira does not press charges. Amira does not replay what was going on the video. But in fact, she does accept that the man will send her a copy of the video via their cell phones. So numbers have been exchanged. Mrs. Chamberlain is upper middle class, and the incident has made her very anxious. She has got to make amends to Amira. She really cares about Amira. She really likes Amira. But the motivation is also very much one of self-interest. Amira looks after her child brilliantly, and she has a new baby. The new baby is complacent and quiet and sweet and pink, and the child that Amira is looking after is really a problem for her, for the mother. So she desperately needs the services of that babysitter. She has to make clear how progressive she is. She has to make clear that she values Amira as a friend, as a person. She has to make clear that her best friend in university was Black, that she is having a Thanksgiving dinner in which there will be 5 guests who are Black, that she has read everything that Toni Morrison has ever written. She understands, she's socially aware. This should never have happened. That's what she's trying to say all of the time. Her intentions, of course, are of the best, tinged though they are with self-interest. What transpires, however, is a misfire. Amira is not preoccupied by any of this. Amira is 25, and she is about to lose all her health coverage. She was under her parents' plan, and now she is too old. She has a part-time job, and she says of the whole incident, this wouldn't have happened if I had a real, and her term is fucking job. She understands that her 3 friends are now progressing far ahead on their career trajectories. One is on her route to a PhD. One has just received a huge raise. The third has been promoted. She, Amira, cannot afford to go to the places to eat that her friends go to. They're talking about a huge birthday celebration that will be a destination party in a swanky resort. She will be holding her friends back. And she is very upset about all of this because, of course, she does not want to leave the job she has. She loves that child. But she is worried that she will never have enough money. The plot proceeds very swiftly, hindered somewhat by a few contrived coincidences, I have to say, and by a huge twist that is easily guessed ahead of time, I thought. But the dialogue is fabulous. It's brilliant. It's so on target all of the time that as you read it, you can actually see the characters and hear the differences in the various voices. And may I say parenthetically, if you listen on audiobook, this is a book that demands an audiobook listen. It's read so very well, and they aren't all, but this one is read so very well, and it will stick with you in ways that other audiobooks often don't. You can just hear and see the movie that's going to come out of this book. By the way, the movie has already been purchased. Just one final note. Author Kiley Reid, and this is her first novel, spent 6 years working as a nanny for one white family, watching her charge grow over the years. And she insists that the novel was inspired by that time that she spent, but of course it is not based on it. That it's about relationships. That's what her novel is about. Relationships that you form, attachments and understandings. And then in this interview that I read, she said, and I thought again of the awkward history of all Black women who bring up white children in America. I'm going to leave it there. And perhaps we'll have another time together and I'll come with 5 or 6 more books for you. Thanks for listening, everyone. And I'll see you next time. And in the meantime, please stay safe.